to the TMC Talk Show. My name is Sid Sudhir, and today we are here with Enaam Ahmed, and he is a Formula 3 racing driver. So why don't you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
My name is Enaam Ahmed. I'm 20 years old. I'm from London, born and raised in England. And I'm currently racing in the FIA Formula 3 Championship this year with Carlin Motorsport. Well, if we do get racing this year.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we'll make sure to talk about that in due time. That is one of my questions. But first topic I want to talk about. So as I found through my research, there are many different F3 competitions, right? So you've competed in everything from British Formula 3 to the FIA Formula 3 Championship to the Japanese Formula 3 Championship, right? So how does Formula 3 kind of fit into the world of Formula racing?
You could say Formula 3 is probably the most important category below Formula 1 other than F2. But like from a history point of view, F3 is like considered one of the best things. Like if you're good in F3, you're going to be good in F1. That's what they say, you know. And they really like to look at young drivers, especially in Formula 3, especially in the old Euro Series car that I used to do back in 2018. I think that was a real golden era of the series, you know. And that was a real highlight. Then I went to Japan because I couldn't do FIA F3 last year. And then I did the best I could in Japan, came third. Now I'm looking to come back to race in Europe, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the FIA Championship itself is still pretty new, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to the second season. I didn't do it last year, so and it's a new car, basically a GP3 car, but a bit more downforce and heavier, and Pirelli tires. And it's not really like it's like a mini F2 really. It's not. When people talk about the old F3, like the that we used to drive in 2018, like those small F3s, you know, like that we had in Japan with the airbox on the side, everything. They had so much downforce and they were so light, and they were literally like mini Formula 1 cars. There was so much grip, and these new cars are so heavy and a lot less grip, and they have a lot more power but a lot less grip, you know. So you can't throw it around like the old one, like you could. And the old one, you had to be so committed in the high-speed corners and things like that. This one is a bit different. So it's a shame. But it's a good car, though, nonetheless. It brings new challenges.
So then what are like the major differences you would say between F2 and F3?
Well, this new F3 is pretty much like a miniature F2. Like it's actually like the car is really, really similar. It may not look that similar from the outside, but the way it's built, everything is really, really, really similar. Just F2 is a bit bigger and a bit more power, which I could kind of, even like the engine that we've got is the same engine as an F2, just without a turbo. Okay. So everything's pretty much the same. It's just, what can I say different? I mean, which is kind of good, but I still miss the old F3, kind of, you know?
Fair enough. So this is a question I'm sure you've been asked like many times, but like what or who initially sparked your interest in racing? I
say Lewis Hamilton. When he won the title in 2008, that's what got me like, maybe you could say inspired, or like gave me the idea to just have a go. I never wanted to become a racing driver. I just had a go at it, you know. Mm-hmm. And then I was pretty decent in karting, and then it just went on, and I loved it really, and I really loved it, and I didn't want to let go of it. So I was sacrificing everything I could to make it work, you know.
So you actually, the first karting track that you started on, that was like the same karting track that Lewis raced on, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's where he started as well. Yeah. In Stevenage, yeah.
So was that like extra special for you because like Lewis was like the guy who got you in? You're like, oh, I'm going there.
Yeah. I think that was one of the reasons why I went there. Actually, was because Lewis started there, you know, and that track was getting a lot of publicity at the time because Lewis just won the world title.
So how did kind of like this drive or die mentality, like that you were forced into, ultimately make you a better driver?
Well, I would say I'm very fortunate compared to other drivers to have parents I could afford to get me to start in racing, first of all. Mm-hmm. So I was very lucky, and they could support me while they could while I was younger. But then as I kind of went up like to the World European karting stage and then into car racing, it's already crazy money when you start, but that's when it's like you need to be like millionaire, billionaire to be like carrying on.
At this point in your career, like what part of it do you have to finance versus what part is kind of like you get paid to drive for these Formula 3 teams, or no?
No, you only get paid when you get to F1, and even some of the drivers in F1 don't get paid. So it's very hard actually in racing to get paid these days. Even like when you look at IndyCar or most high-level racing, you'll be surprised, but a lot of drivers are actually paying to be there.
Yeah.
Basically, you try and get as much money as you can from a sponsor, and if you're lucky, the sponsor will pay for all of it. But if not, you have to chip in the rest yourself, pretty much, because you have to bring money to that team for you to race, because it's costing them. It's cost them to race, and because you're in a lower category, like F3, F2, there's no way they can make money from it unless the costs are covered. So that's how it works.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's something I really don't know that much about.
How many people?
Yeah, I know that guys like Louis Sebastian, they get a nice paycheck, but kind of beyond that, it's not as much, right?
Yeah. It's no.
All right, so moving on. At 17 years old, how old I am, you won the British Formula 3 Championship, and in the same season, you won, I believe it was 13 races, which beat a record set by the great Ayrton Senna in 1983. So what did this season mean to you, and how did it help you with your career progression?
Well, that was my third year of racing in the UK in cars. And my first 2 years, I was perhaps not with the best teams. Definitely in the second year, I wasn't quite with the best team. And it was like a combination of me having the right sponsor, going with the best team like Carlin. And I knew the thing is, when you're at a national level, everyone in Europe doesn't look at it at a high level. So if you win, you have to win convincingly. Like you have to win everything. Like you can't just win it like a few races and then be champion. Otherwise, they won't think you're good enough. But still, after winning that many races, it was hard for me to get a seat with, like, you could say, one of the top teams at the time. Like even Carlin didn't take me on. Prema didn't take me on. Motorsport, I didn't try to get it with them. But I was lucky that I had an opportunity with High Tech, and we actually had a better car than Carlin, which is who I was trying to join at the time.
Yeah.
And I actually had a really good car on some of the tracks that we raced on. We had a really, really, probably the fastest car, like Hungary, probably had the fastest car of anyone on the weekend. And I was really lucky to be able to show what I could do, because a lot of people were surprised that I was winning straight away, because they rejected me a few months prior. And that was, at the time, I was beating a teammate that was 2 or 3 years older than me and a lot more experience, and was considered, it still is considered to be one of the best drivers out there, Alex Palou, who's now in IndyCar, And I was coming there, and I was like 17 going on 18, and I was doing quite a strong job straight away. But then, because I had such a bad end to the year, I kind of lost my way a little bit. So now I'm working on myself in this off time to try and rebuild a new foundation and start again from ground zero. Because since then, I haven't really been as strong as I know that I can be, for numerous reasons. So right now, this is the only interview I'm telling this to. You're lucky. I would never say this in a normal interview. But right now, I'm working really hard to make sure that mentally and everything, that I'm on top form.
Okay, so to this point in your career then, would you say that 2017 season has been like your greatest accomplishment? That's what you're trying to get back to?
No, I'd say, well, the thing is, 2017 was a great accomplishment, but if you compare it to my rivals who I was racing against at the time, it's not that great, if that makes sense, without sounding bad. What I say was my greatest accomplishment, my two greatest accomplishments were world and European champion in karting, because I race some of the best drivers I'm racing now, still to this day. And also my first half of the season of the FIA F3 championship, because I was a rookie and I was always in the top 3 or 4, you know, and I was fighting guys who'd been doing it for 2-3 years. And that's where I'm aiming to get back to, because when I was in that mindset and I was doing everything that I was doing, I was pretty good, you know. I was pretty up there.
So what would you say, like, in terms of Formula 3 championships then, like FIA Formula 3, that's like the top one, the one to be in?
Yeah. I mean, now, because they restructured everything, so the European Championship's not there anymore. It's just the top dog F3 championship you can do is the one that we're doing this year, FIA one.
Okay. So you did already talk about this a little bit, but after competing in that FIA Formula 3 championship in 2018, why did you decide to make that change to race in Japan?
I had no choice. I didn't have the funding to race in Europe again. I wanted to race again with High Tech, but I couldn't. And High Tech had a good car last year, and I couldn't. I was supposed to partner Eurovips, but I couldn't come up with the funding to be able to do it. So then, Jan, Feb, March, when everyone has a drive, they're all sorted, everyone knows what they're doing. I still didn't really know what I was doing. I had a really good opportunity to race for a team called Three Bond. And it was constructed deal. A lot of people helped me to get that deal. But, you know, I really think in life, everything happens for a reason. And for whatever reason at the time, maybe you could say because my mindset wasn't really, I wasn't thinking clear, because I'd just been sacked, pretty much. I wasn't where I wanted to be racing. I was all over the place mentally. I was very down. I had just really strong depression for like those times, because I was looks like I wasn't going to be racing.
Yeah.
So I probably made some decisions that weren't very wise, put it that way, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and then for whatever reason, I didn't feel Three Bond were right for me at the time. So we didn't end up making a deal. Which maybe if I look back on now, probably wasn't the most rational decision to make, you know? But everything happens for a reason. So actually, I'm actually happy that I didn't go there, because I met great people when I went to BMX in Japan with Motorpark. And I met some friends that I think I'll cherish for the rest of my life, like the chief engineer and the owner of Motorpark and my engineer. You know, we became really, really good friends. And I also talk to them now. Andy from Motorpark, Timo, who else? Patrick, my engineer, Bernie. They're top guys, and I really, really got on with them really well. So actually, everything happens for a reason. You never know why, but maybe in a few years, I look back on it, even though maybe it wasn't quite the right decision at the time, because I wasn't in the right mindset, but I think it is. We came third. I had a really good teammate, Sasha. He did a really good job all season. I came there a little bit unprepared, but nevertheless, he got the job done, and he beat Tom's, which was really quite a difficult thing to do, because the drivers we were against were drivers that had been racing on those tracks for 3 years. Yeah. And we just rocked up as Europeans, not knowing where the hell we were going on these tracks, you know, and we were with a new team as well. So like we had to develop a car, learn new tracks, and do a good job. Sasha was a bit more prepared. He started testing the year before. I kind of rocked up in March, April. And I could maybe look back on 2019, 2018, I say I did the best I could until the last race of the year in Hockenheim, which I didn't do the best I could. I had a terrible weekend. Until that race, every weekend in 2018, I did the best I could. I just made mistakes, but I was always fast. Then 2019 came, and I really wasn't in the good frame of mind. And I don't feel I did nothing, doesn't take away anything from Sasha. He still won like 13 or 14 races or something silly like that. He did a proper job, but I didn't feel I was as good as I know I could be. And that whole 2019, I was doing my best, but I wasn't quite as good as I could be. and I think I lost the basics that I was good at doing.
Yeah.
And now, lost sight of it really. First time I ever had that in my life really. So now I'm just keeping really quiet. I don't really want to talk to anyone. That's why I'm happy with this lockdown. So I can
focus on yourself.
Focus on myself, understand everything, and get back to where I know I can be. Because I've beaten everyone in karting, and I've beaten them all as well in a car at some point. Yeah. There's no reason why I can't do that. But sometimes I'm not able to do that on a regular basis. But once I fix that, I don't see why I shouldn't beat anyone that's there, because I've beaten them before.
So it's kind of
now when I look at it, if someone beats me, I don't think that they're better than me. I think, what am I not doing right? Because I know I'm better than them. What am I doing wrong? And with me, I always seem to do things wrong. So, but as I've got older, I've learned from that. So, but before, there was a stage when I used to think maybe they're better than me. But no, actually, as I've got older, I realized, no, I've beaten them for many years at different stages, whether it's in different cars. When I'm at my best, I know I've beaten them all. So I must be really not doing a good job, because to come to the Bahrain test and be last on the augural timesheets, what do you call it? Like the overall timesheets, Bahrain was a horrendous test in FIF3. And I know I've beaten these guys before, and there's something that I'm clearly doing wrong. So
no, I like the way that you're thinking about that. That's like a nice positive way to think about it. Like, rather than just, say like putting yourself down and like kind of making yourself like a little bit.
That was my biggest thing that I was doing wrong, that I learned from. Without realizing, when someone went quicker than me, I would put myself down, but subconsciously, like, it's just the way I was. So in this off time, I've rewired myself. I've rewired my brain with meditation, and I've been putting myself in scenarios, so my brain is rewired. So when because you're never going to be the best all the time. It's impossible. But so when the next time something like that does happen, when I'm off the pace, I'm going to get angry. I want to feel like I'm going to rip them apart, because that's how I was when I was in karting, because they don't deserve to be faster than me, that's how I used to think when I was a kid, So, and I kind of lost that a little bit, because I lost a little bit of confidence after 2018, because in 2018 was the first time in my life where I got a taste of Formula One. I'm not going to say which team it was, but it was one of the best teams, you could say, if not the best. And they gave me a taste of that when I was winning. And then to lose that hurt me a lot, because, first time I thought I could really get there. So that kind of knocked my confidence a bit. And then, things didn't go so well going into 2019. But now I'm coming back from that. So I'm happy that God's given me another chance,
So here, most people, they don't realize how physically fit some racing drivers have to be in order to race. So what sort of conditioning do you have to complete in order to be ready for an F3 season?
You have to be really quite strong in the upper body, because the steering is very heavy, because we don't have power assisted steering. Mm-hmm. Neck has to be strong, leg has to be strong, core has to be strong. But your overall fitness has to be, like, the cardiovascular has to be really good, because what people don't understand is that you're always under so much G-force and so much stress when you're driving. You're going so fast, and your brain is going on overload. And you're always out of breath. When it feels like it. You have to put a lot of. It's like you're a fighter pilot, and you're always breathing, and like your heart's pumping like 200 beats per minute, like it's crazy. And you have to, you can get away. Actually, no, you can't, because then you can't, like, I've seen some people that are not strong enough or fit enough, they can't do more than 3 laps in the car. But you can get away with being not the fittest, but where it helps is when you're in a race, and it helps you not make mistakes as often, because when you're fitter, you're able, and when the heart's pumping at 200 beats per minute, you got the G-forces, you're like in a fighter plane, it's like I'm strapped down, helmet, everything's locked in, and I'm like, I'm fully lit, and being able to focus when your heart's going like this, and you've got guys behind you, and you have to push like hell. I'm pushing like hell, it makes you go out of breath because you always feel like you should feel like you're gonna shunt all the time when you go into the corner. You feel like you're gonna crash all the time because you're out of control. So that's like, and the physicality of steering the car is so heavy, and
so you're just like constantly on edge, basically.
Yeah, you're constantly on edge, and basically when you're fitter, you're able to concentrate more for longer periods of time without making a mistake. So it really helps.
So like how much of that conditioning is, because I know like you specifically place a lot of emphasis on this. So like it's like mentally taxing, right? So what do you do to kind of like train how you are mentally for when you're driving?
With me, I don't think that. I think the thing that I've actually been doing wrong is that I've been probably trying to, how does it say, like trying to find new ways of mental training and this, that, and the other. But when I was younger, I know when I've been at my best, when you keep it simple. The simple thing, all I do is when I go on track, the way I fire myself up, I get fired up automatically, but I use this feeling that I have in my stomach, which is like a fire. It's like acid. It feels like pure acid in my stomach. When I'm simply, and it feels like I want to murder someone. It sounds bad, but really I want to murder the other drivers. I'm not joking. That's how when I'm at my best, that's how I am when I'm fast,
You're just in like in attack mode.
I kind of my way by trying to overcomplicate things by trying this and doing this and mental this and the best advice I can give is that you just keep it simple and just do it. It's like the Nike expression is the best thing. Just do it.
Just do it.
There's so much BS, around sport, and it's really simple. Actually, the more you look at it, it's actually dead simple. You jump in, you do the best you can, jump out. That's it.
All right. So in your career so far, who is the best driver you've competed with so far, and what in particular made it so difficult to face them?
I wouldn't say there's one that's been like stunning, because I've beaten everyone at some stage. But like I wouldn't say they're better than me.
Okay, how about this then? Like, who is someone that it's been very enjoyable? It's been like a nice battle to have racing against them.
I said it to Yuri Vips. Because we've had some good races in 2018. We had like in Norris Ring, and also there was a race we had in Misano, which was like more towards the end of the year, and I qualified second. He was on pole. Or was I on pole? No, I was second. He was on pole. It was like the third to last race of the 2018 season. And as we were coming to the grid, it was raining. Like as we were coming to the grid to start the race, it was raining a lot. And I didn't realize it was just raining in the last sector. It wasn't raining in the first sector. So I got a mega start and I got into the lead. But I thought because it was dark and it was so grey and it looked like it was raining, I thought the first corner was going to be like damp. So I kind of eased off a little bit. And he just kept it pinned around the outside of me. And bearing in mind, I was in front of him by the time this corner. I looked at him after that, and I feel like such a knob. He said, "Mate, why did you fix on it?" I thought it was wet. Oh God, that was a race that got away from me. Actually,
that's an interesting story.
Yeah. I think I finished like 4th or 5th because I got a 10 or 20 second penalty because I did track limits, which is ironic anyway. Yeah.
So you talked about this a little bit already, I guess, but like, has your F3 season, like, has it just been straight up canceled because of COVID-19? Has it been, you're going to start there a little later, or?
Well, they say we're going to start in July.
In July.
Which I don't know how, but apparently we're going to. I mean, in Europe, maybe I can understand that. Maybe you can get things going in July. But the thing is, drivers have gone home and they're all over the world, and some of their countries they're not able to leave.
Yeah.
Like my friend Jahan, he's in India. I don't think he'll be able to leave anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then that's not fair. I mean, if they're gonna, I think the only reason why they're trying to keep it going is for the TV rights, and because if they say they cancel it, the value of this year and F1 share market price is going to drop dramatically.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to give, maybe you could say, fake news to try and keep people thinking that it's going to get going. But I don't think they should try and do it too late in the year and make it a rush, because that's not a proper championship, and it's a big waste of money, you could say, to do something like that. That's not going to be a proper, nice series. Might be better to scrap this year and then start again next year.
Okay, that's interesting. I would have thought that you guys would just want to race for the sake of just racing.
No, I want to race, but I don't want to race for the sake of a broken championship.
I mean, do you not think that you could at least put on a show and maybe gain some people's attention in those few races?
Oh no, I think that if we race, I'm going to race. But I'm just thinking. I mean, at the end of the day, if they cancelled the Olympics and they cancelled football, which more people in the world watch that than they do racing, how the hell are they going to be able to run F1?
Yeah,
do you understand?
Yeah, because I mean, yeah, F1, they are thinking about like a combination of condensing and cutting, but I've seen some of the proposed schedules and they're going to be pretty intense. I don't know if they can
exactly. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. I want to race. I want to get going, but it's got to be done fairly and cost effectively.
So like, I know you were setting up your simulation a little earlier. So is that mainly what you've been doing to kind of practice and make sure you're using your time well during the quarantine?
Actually, I was doing a lot of Call of Duty, to be honest, before that. And then I realized I should probably because my sim was in storage, so I need to put it all back together. So I got my sim, put it all back together because I wasn't using it in 2019 because I was in Japan. Mm-hmm. And now I'm going to get back on it again.
So I think when I was watching like another interview you said that there was like some limit as to like how much testing or how much time you can use the sim. Is that true, or?
There's limit on the testing you can do in real life. So there's a test ban, so we can only do the official test days that the championship give. Otherwise, we're not allowed to do any practice. On the sim, you can do as much as you want.
Okay. Yeah, like one thing I've never really understood, but I've been told that racing drivers do, is like you guys kind of know like which part of the asphalt is like a little better to go on versus the other. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's very easy. Like you can do it. It's not difficult. It's like you can just see which ones are more grippy. I don't understand how to describe it. Like when it's like light, like the tarmac looks a bit lighter and more like dusty. You could see it looks a bit like light and dusty. You know, there's not going to be any grip there. But when it's dark, where like the rubber of the tires have been, and you know you can kind of see the line where people are going, where it's clean, that's where the grip's going to be.
And that's usually along the racing line, right? You can pick it up.
Yeah. I'd say it's very easy to see. I mean, everyone knows where the grip is, so we don't really look for where the grip is because it's just a racing line. But the things to look out for is maybe where it's not so grippy.
So besides the obvious passion that you had for racing, what other characteristics of motorsport make it such like a special thing that you're willing to dedicate your life towards this?
I just enjoy it so much, and it's the only thing I'm good at. I really want to succeed in it. I've been doing it for over 10 years now, so yeah, be silly just to give up on it now.
Like, would you say that you enjoy like the competition aspect? Like, you just like going out there and trying to be the best?
The best bit is beating them. That's why I do it. You know, it's to make them look like they're amateurs.
Just to contrast that, is there one thing that you dislike about motorsport?
No, not really. I mean, even the ups and downs in motorsport, it's the same in real life. You're going to get that in the real life, whether it's in motorsport or not. So why should motorsport be more of a fairy tale than real life? Yeah. So it's the ups and downs of life. Yeah? It's normal. I like it.
Yeah. The only reason I asked that is because I've during this quarantine I've been taking time to like read a lot of books about Formula One, and these are written about people who were kind of involved in Formula One more like in the 80s and 90s, and a lot of that demographic of Formula One fans, they've kind of become disenchanted with it. They feel like there's a lot of problems with how the FIA runs things currently. So
actually, you could say it's a bit more corporate. It's not as glamorous as it used to be, and probably the main problem is the money for kids trying to get through in F2 and F3 and in F4. everything in karting is probably the downside to motorsport is money. But what do you expect? It's man and machine. Machines cost money.
Fair enough.
To make the machine fast will cost money as well. So there's no way of getting around it, really.
So are you kind of like, because I feel like there's kind of two sides to this. So are you in the side that you think that, someone like Ferrari or, Red Bull, they should be allowed to make a car as fast as they want without any financial limits? Or are you kind of like a proponent of the idea that the car should be as similar as possible to provide good racing to watch?
No, I think the budget cap and keeping the regulations is really important. Otherwise, it's going to get so boring, and you're going to be left with like 4 cars on the grid because no one's got the money to keep up with them. Yeah. So at the end of the day, if you had no regulation and the cars went as fast as they want, the racing was going to get worse and worse. Because the thing is, what you got to understand is that, the cars are already struggling now to follow because they have so much downforce. When they follow even if they're 2-3 seconds behind, they have a lot less grip because it's just, they need the downforce to have the grip. And when you're following a car, you got like half the downforce of the car in front, so you just haven't got the grip. So imagine if they deregulate everything, the cars are going to be so fast around the corners, not just in the straight, around the corners are going to have so much grip that there won't even be a proper braking zone. That's also why they have to slow the cars down a bit as well, because it will come to a stage where the cars have got so much downforce, so much grip that there's not a big enough braking zone for someone to lunge someone, outbrake someone.
Yeah.
So they have to keep it moderate. So I agree that they should do a budget cap, and Formula One is a drivers' championship. At the end of the day, you don't watch Formula One to watch the robots drive. Think of it like this: if there was no drivers and they put robots in, no one's going to watch it because there's no personalities. It's like we're like the entertainers or the actors. Formula One is about the drivers, and it's a drivers' championship. If they want to do like constructors' championship, and just for the constructors, I don't know, do a robot championship, but no one's going to watch that. There's not going to be any money in it. So
yeah, that's a fair point. All right, now this question I really want to hear what your answer is. So let's just say the Motorsport Genie, he gives you a visit and says that you can drive for any Formula One team of your choice that's currently on the grid. Which team is that?
Mercedes.
Mercedes. Okay, that was quick. Can you explain why?
Because I know, you could say I know them better than any of the other teams, and I like the people.
Do you like that Lewis is there?
No, the fact Lewis is there doesn't change it. But I like Toto Wolff, and I like the atmosphere of that team.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best team to work in.
How do you feel about driver racing with your partner, not partner, but teammate? Did you not always feel like you're kind of on the parallel level with your teammate in terms of being like first driver, second driver? Is that kind of a thing in Formula 3?
No, not like F1, because F1 the teams hire you effectively, and you're getting paid to do a job. And sometimes they could say you're a number one, number two driver. But in junior single-seater racing, everyone's bringing money to be there. So the team has to supply the driver with a service, and that has to be equal. And it's also in the team's best interest for their drivers to do as good as they can, because it makes them look better, which means more drivers will want to join them the following year.
Yeah, that makes sense. But let's say you were, again, in that position where you could have a Formula One seat, right? And you had multiple teams offering you positions. So let's say that we have a team like Mercedes who's offering you a number 2 spot versus a team like Williams where you would be the best driver if you went there. Which one would you kind of lean towards?
I'd take the Mercedes, but I'd prove myself to be the number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could be a number 1, with no disrespect to Williams. They're a fantastic team in the past. They've done so many good things, but let's judge it on with last year's performance, which was not the best. If you're finishing at the back, even if you are the number 1 driver, no one's going to pay attention to your results. So no one's going to really care. But if you're number 2 for Mercedes, but you push really hard and you show that you're better than your teammate, and you're fighting for wins, it's a different story. Your values are much higher.
Interesting. All right, so the final question I have for you. You've had a very promising career thus far. You've had many ups and downs, as you said. So, in your opinion, what is that final step you need to take to, bridge that gap into racing for Formula One?
To be the best that I can be at all times and get the most out of myself.
Get the most out of
Because when I do that, it's very hard for someone to beat me. Very, very hard for me to get beaten. I know, I've felt it, I've seen it, I've proved it on many occasions, in any car and kart.
So how do you get that best out of yourself?
I'm working out now.
Good answer.
Still getting there. We'll find out in the first race if we get there.
Yeah, well, I wish you best of luck.
Thanks.
I hope that I can see you, in the Formula One circuit in the grid in a couple years' time, and I'm sure that you'll make it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to Enaam as much as I enjoyed talking with him. Obviously, this is just the first episode in what's hopefully a series to come. So yeah, just expect more interviews with more interesting people. Please, if you get the chance, just to subscribe or give us a follow on Instagram. Those type of things, they go a long way. So I would really appreciate that. But yeah, thank you for just taking the time to listen, and see you guys next time.